I'm gonna use y'all's meat pizza tray for. Okay. So. Woo! I'm gonna fall over myself. I'm afraid of heights too. Just to hide my own head. Okay. So I write for a living, and so you'd think this sort of exercise would be easy, but it's not. I mean, where do you start with someone who's known you your literal whole life? Someone who's as kind and supportive and as desperately awkward as Ashlyn. Someone who burned your face with a hot tortilla when you were 10 years old at Carlos Murphy's, which is an Irish-Mexican fusion restaurant. Because you were shivering with a fever and she was just trying to help. It's a tough genre. So I asked around for a little advice on the little brother wedding toast, and there was like some pretty startling consensus. Just make fun of her ruthlessly, and then say something nice about the groom. So I try not to go too hard, but with due diligence to the genre, here goes. There's always been something a little bit different about Ashlyn, but it's not her fault. It's the same with me. It's how we were raised. I'm pretty sure it's in our blood. So we weren't raised with much regard to like normative gender roles. We didn't have Barbies or G.I. Joes. Mom always drives on vacations. You heard about that. I'm the better dancer. She's the better athlete. That part isn't true. No, the athlete part. You have to like when you grade papers, they're like, oh, you have to like give every every criticism with a compliment. So, I'm doing my best, but so there's a lot of improvisation in our household. There's this one photo that seems to sum a lot up. I had my arms around Ashlyn's waist, and we're both looking at the camera. I'm 4 or 5, so Ashlyn's probably 7 or 8. I look a bit sheepish, and her eyes are like super duper big. She looks pretty crazy, to be honest. So like, who knows what had happened before that photo was taken. Anyway, the takeaway here is our hair. Ashlyn has this perfectly symmetrical bowl cut. Yeah, a bowl cut fit for the world's cutest little boy. And I, of course, have the fluffiest, blondest, most luxurious long locks. They're like the color of this fucking tent. And up until like a surprisingly old age, we wore those cuts with pride. And from these very progressive haircuts to our fashion choices to our very particular culinary practices, I'm tempted to hold this pizza up. It's a monogrammed pizza made of processed meat. So, like exhibit A through Z, really. So from that to that, we marched to the beat of a proverbial different drummer. Maybe he wasn't even a drummer. I think it was like a samba. Whatever it was, we were pretty weird, but we were really fucking cute, and we did everything together. Okay. Excuse me, I'm being reprimanded. From some endless well of tolerance I don't understand to this day, Ashlyn always let me hang out with her friends as if they were my own. From the neighborhood to Sunday school to summer camp. And the occasional hazing ritual aside, forced games of dress up, my cameo as the monster Grendel in her feminist adaptation of the ancient epic Beowulfa. Naturally. I love getting to be Ashlyn's little brother. Jokes mostly aside, Ashlyn is one of the most caring people I've ever met. No matter how long you've known her or from what period in her life, I think everyone can recognize the same traits. Unbridled generosity, fierce devotion and loyalty, and such crazy excitement to do things with and for the people she loves. An excitement that's audible in that special high-pitched voice that jumps up to an octave that like maybe only dogs can hear. Especially if she's had a few drinks.
Be prepared.
Yeah, I love being here soon enough. You can see this in her relationships with her friends, with her family, and of course in the really gorgeous way she is with Chris. I want to finish with one more story. This is my part 2 of the Ireland saga. That gives a real sense, to me at least, of their relationship and how I know Chris is a keeper. Pop's already touched on it, but Chris was with the McKeithans for our last big family trip to Ireland, etc., etc. It was a really wonderful trip, but it was also really, let's say, intense. The only way to get around Ireland is by car, so us 5 grown adults rented a 5-seat rental and toured the rainy Irish countryside. And it turns out it's amazing how quickly you revert to your preteen self when you're in the car for a few hours with your parents. After a week of taking turns on the bumpy middle seat, even Chris, who's not a tiny guy, in case you realize he's a big guy, we arrive in Dublin, our nerves a little frayed from the proximity. Our first full day in Dublin starts at the Guinness Museum and continues for a prolonged moment in Ashland's personal heaven and my personal hell, the gift shop of the Guinness Museum. Like a really prolonged moment, just hanging out. We make it to central Dublin and break for our first 3 hours of sanctioned alone time in the bus bar and staving off like a full-fledged panic attack. I sprint desperately away into the city center. I pop into a store to buy a pair of souvenir socks for some friends. They feature sheep holding umbrellas, which felt appropriate for the trip. After a while, I'm walking toward St. Stephen's Green to read for one last precious hour when I hear my name being called. I see Ashlyn and Chris walking straight up to me, embraced for earlier than expected family contact. For some reason, Ashlyn is grinning and looking even more awkward than usual when she suddenly throws up her hand and I see Grandma's beautiful wedding ring glinting in the sun. Oh my God, congrats. There's all I can think to say. And I give them each a pair of sheep socks as a preliminary wedding gift. Congrats! Congrats, I got you something. Sheep holding umbrellas. Realizing I'm now very much a third wheel in my sister's engagement moment, I ask her if they'd like some alone time, and I'll never forget. Chris looks at me and he's like, listen, I think we gave up on alone time a long time ago, from day one. Oops. So then we head to the nearest bar for a celebratory shot and beer because we're a classy family. Beaming, Chris and Ashlyn tell the waitress how it happened. Chris kneeling next to a fountain that the park forgot to turn on that day. Win some, you lose some. Bystanders watching, all in the middle of the lovely, picturesque Ivea Gardens, which Chris had thoughtfully scouted as the perfect location. Endlessly gracious, the waitress did not have the heart, or barely had the heart, to tell us it was pronounced Ivy. Ivy Gardens. Gaelic is hard. Gaelic is hard. It's fine. I obviously knew Chris before this and thought he was a great guy and all, but you get to know a person after 7 days in the back of a Volkswagen like you wouldn't any other way. My thought when I saw the ring was that if anyone would want to join this family after this trip, he's more than welcome. And that holds true to this day. Chris, I'm so thrilled Ashlyn found you. It's been such a joy to have you around these past 3 years. You're kind, you're patient, you think my jokes are funny, and you somehow fit seamlessly into this family of weirdos. So, more importantly though, I've never seen Ashlyn happier than she has been these last 3 years since we met. So with that, I think it's always a glass to Ashlyn and Chris.
All right, next up, you guys, give it up for the best man, Matt.